Welcome back. And after being completely overwhelmed by rioters at the Capitol on Wednesday, the Capitol Police Chief will now resign for initially refusing help from federal troops. And as we have been reporting this morning, sadly, one Capitol Police officer has now died of his injuries. President-elect Joe Biden says that it would have been a much different police presence if it had been a Black Lives Matter protest instead of a mob of thugs. We bring in political insider Armstrong Williams now to discuss. Armstrong, good to see you. And we understand you were actually inside the Capitol when all that chaos broke out on Wednesday. Can you describe for us what you experienced?
Let me say this. There is no such thing as a peaceful protest. Anything at a moment's notice can swing that pendulum where people go out of control, that they don't realize who they are, and they can just so be manipulated just by somebody saying, this is your house, this is treason, take your house. And this is what happened. And I think the thing that we must also acknowledge is not so much what the president said, go and protest. That's one thing. It's the fact that all week long, the president has been diminishing and criticizing his vice president as if his vice president had the power to overturn and making sure that the election was not certified in the favor of Biden. And with that, all that in mind, at the moment, because remember, Melanie, I was on the steps of the Capitol hour before even the melee and the siege started. And people were fun. They were taking pictures. They were talking about the moment. They were talking about it was peaceful. And then all of a sudden, a notice went out on everybody's devices that Vice President Biden has decided not to decertify the election. He will accept the results of the Electoral College, and Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States. I'm telling you, Melanie, when that happened, the place turned into eruption. We were standing on the steps of the Capitol. There was this guy in his army tee who had a gas mask on his face. He was saying, take his shield, knock down the doors. Let's take our house. This is treason. This is treason. And all of a sudden, everybody around on this Capitol step, as if they were trans who went into trans, and that's exactly what they were doing. They started storming. Somebody in a red shirt, this guy, he didn't have on a mask. He said, pull out your mace, mace them, get them out of the way. They started macing the police. They started kicking the police. And then somebody said, pull their shield off, pull their shields off, take their shields. They started taking their shields, and all of a sudden, somebody took their flag poles and started knocking in the windows, smashing in the windows, smashing in the glass. Somebody was trying to run their hand, unlock the door, and all of a sudden, the police were on their phones talking to the person on the other side, saying this is out of control, this is out of control, we can't breathe. And then they said, stand down, stand down. And all of a sudden, they opened the door, and you had no idea what was on the other side. And when they opened the door, there were other protesters already in. They went inside, they got fire extinguishers, they were spraying on the police, they were attacking them with their flagpoles, they were running around, and then all of a sudden, some of them started kicking pictures, and somebody else dressed in military fatigue and said, listen, we're not here for this. We're here to take our house. This is treason. Let's go take our house. Let's stop this. We must do it ourselves. And all of a sudden, people started spreading in all kinds of directions. I mean, they were being tear gassed. They were using the fire extinguishers. There was smoke. It was just so chaotic. But I thank God my videographer and I, we remained calm because we realized what was happening in a moment. The Capitol was under siege. The fact that only one Capitol Hill police officer and a civilian lost their life in that siege is a tribute to Capitol Hill police. They may not have been organized, they may not have prepared, but in that moment, when that Capitol was under siege, they were the only ones in their mindset not using guns, because none of the protesters had guns. They had their other weapons, their flags. The police found a calmness as they pushed them back. They formed lines, and how they were able to keep that place under control and get them out of that Capitol. The one thing that helped them, one of the things we did notice were the buses coming up with the National Guard and backup law enforcement. Some people are trying to spread on social media. They brought in Antifa. That's a joke. You may have had Antifa, but let me tell you something. It was not Antifa that overtook the Capitol. Those were Trump supporters. Let me be clear on that. They were Trump supporters. And law enforcement.
All right, we'll have to leave it there.
Yeah.
We're sorry, we're out of time. That is an amazing personal account. Armstrong Williams, thanks so much for sharing with us today, and also for taking those great pictures. And we're glad that you are safe. And of course, you can watch the Armstrong Williams Show every Saturday morning at 10:30 right here on WJLA 24/7 News.